If you're someone that's been looking at traffic and trying to figure out where do I place my ads, or should I advertise in a different place, or maybe post something new on Facebook, post something new on Twitter, then you're probably someone that really focuses on the active traffic generating approach rather than the passive generating traffic approach. See, in the web, there's really two main ways that you can acquire traffic. In terms of the big scheme, in terms of the foundational level. And one of those ways is the passive approach, and the other way is the active method approach. Now, they both have advantages and disadvantages, and which one works for you is going to really depend on your niche, your business, your style, the techniques that you're using, and so forth. But they both work. It's just a question of which one fits you a little bit better. So, for example, if you're a fish, it normally works out better if you're swimming in water rather than being out of the water. So the same thing here. For different kinds of people, different types of methods will work. So as a full disclaimer, me personally, I like the passive method approach, and that's just, it fits my lifestyle better, and I kind of relax and just let things take care of themselves and move on, and they kind of generate traffic over time. Other people prefer the active method approach, and that's perfectly okay. So let me break down these two different approaches for you, so that way you have an understanding of what the approach is and see if you want to modify your approach. So first off, let's start out with the active method approach. The active method approach is really something that you have to do continuously. It's something that you have to do time and time again to get traffic. The minute that you stop that approach, you don't receive that much traffic anymore from that place or location. Now, this usually refers to things like placing an advertisement, things like Google AdWords, or placing an ad on another website. So once you put that ad on that website, it stays there, and you may be getting some traffic from it because you're borrowing that traffic from another website and you're redirecting it. But once that ad actually stops and completely ends, all of a sudden you don't get any more traffic from that source. Now, if you were smart enough, you built up a newsletter and you're building some leads and connections from that traffic. But in general, the traffic from that website now stops and it doesn't continue because you don't have that advertisement there anymore. So this is typically the active method approach. The passive method approach is typically where you put out something such as a content piece, or like this video, for example, and people start discovering you organically. Now, once the video is done, once the video is shot, it's uploaded to YouTube, then people go ahead and find this video time and time again. Now, usually the active method approach is a little bit faster because you can place ads in multiple locations, and you can go ahead and determine how much you want to spend, and the more that you spend, the more traffic that you'll get. So it's kind of like the quick results and the quick riches to getting traffic, and this is what a lot of people are attracted to. Whereas the passive method approach, there's a lot of delayed gratification that goes along with it. So it takes time to create a video, it takes time to edit the video, upload the video, and then you're not going to see results maybe for that video for a little bit of time until some momentum picks up and starts generating some views and so forth. Now, as for the passive approach, you can do things like web content, articles, create images and post them online, but any sort of content medium that generates interest and brings people back to you. So we have these two different methods, and they both kind of have their advantages and disadvantages. Now, when it comes to social media, a lot of people think that Facebook and Twitter are actually passive methods approach. But the problem is really they're active method approaches. And the reason I say that is because you have to constantly maintain them and keep up with them. So if you post something on Facebook, after about a month or two, it slowly gets lower and lower on that feed. Anywhere that there's a feed, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, where it's timeline based on the date, then things get shifted lower and lower. So if I wanted to go back to an old tweet or an old Facebook post, I really have to dig deeper and go a lot lower in the results to try and find it. There's no search algorithm right now to search through somebody's post. So if I wanted to find an article that someone posted on Facebook for a certain profile or for a certain page, there's no way to do that at this moment. So where you don't have these search algorithms, where you can't find the content that you're looking for, this really becomes a problem. And this is kind of that active method approach. So again, the active method approach is great if you have some money to spend, if you want to go ahead and continue feeding it. Unfortunately, if you stop feeding the ads, if you stop feeding the content, and you stop doing the postings, you don't get any more traffic from that source. On the flip side, the active method approach is really when you're creating content ahead of time, you're posting it and you're distributing it, and once your distribution is kind of done, things organically will start to pick up over time. It does take a little bit longer, but your initial work is done, and in the long run, there's a little bit more work involvement, but there's less financial involvement. So if you have a long-term view, the passive approach really tends to work out well, because videos and content pieces that stick around for 5-7 years really can generate you some really massive amounts of traffic, amounts of customers, amounts of leads. Whereas if you're just placing an ad, it may only be there for that month or 2 months or even a year if you're willing to spend a year's worth of capital to acquire some customers. But once it's done, that's it. You don't get any more results coming from that approach. So those are the two methods. Me personally, like I said, I really focus on the passive approach because I think you're adding value when you're creating content, and really that's why I do that, is to create the connections, to build value to other people. To be able to do promotions and advertisements, that works fine and works as well. But really, you have to start looking at targeting. You have to start looking at what's working, landing pages, and all these additional things that personally I just don't want to deal with. I don't have time to deal with them. I would rather focus my attention and energy in a different area. So it really comes down to your business model and what you really hope to achieve and gain within that business model. And of course, you have to see what are the advantages and disadvantages for your business, because not every business is going to be the same. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. So take a look at your traffic and the way that you're generating it. Is it active or is it passive? And maybe you want to shift a little bit of resources to one or the other. Really just comes down to personal preferences. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this one, you can click one of the thumbnails right below this video and continue watching with me. And if you want to see some of my more in-depth business video trainings, then click this link right up here. And when you get there, enter your name and email address, and I'll be sure to send you those free video trainings when they are released. Thanks for watching, and remember to do what you love, contribute to others, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.